Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into this video, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you give me a thumbs up on this video so I know if you like it. Also, if you would like to follow me on social media, all of that is linked in the description, as well as the link to my website, which I have a good amount of items on there right now. I will be taking pictures of the bows that I made for the holidays today, so those will be going up this week as well, and I have a few more tutus and custom shirts that will also be going up on the website this week or next week. So let's get into it. Okay, so I was asked by my new friend Ruthie to kind of explain or go into more detail as far as my pettiskirt tutorial goes, and it's really hard for a lot of people to know how to resize for different ages, different stages, different lengths. So what I'm going to do first is show you the chiffon rolls that I use, chiffon, the satin I use, and the I think it's called Rochelle fabric that I use, and I'll go over that. And I will also in this video have linked below the places that I ordered this stuff from. Now mind you, these particular places I'm not an affiliate with. This is just where I buy from. They ship worldwide as far as I know, with at least 2 of them I know ship worldwide. So that's important because she lives in Alaska, and one of them, I don't think it matters if you live in the United States or if you live somewhere else. The shipping for the most part is the same, and I know with one of the suppliers that I get from, shipping is free no matter where you live on, once you reach the threshold to get free shipping. So what I'm going to do is explain the fabrics and things first, and then I'll explain the cutting and everything in the video, because I did realize that in the video, which she pointed out and I'm grateful she did, I already had everything pre-cut. So that does make it hard for a lot of people when things are pre-cut, because they need to know how to measure and things like that. And sometimes we don't always remember that. The videos we do, sometimes we have to remember that there are very beginners, a lot of ultra beginners watching our videos, and I try my best to explain in detail in my videos, and that was a misstep because I should have showed you guys how I cut everything. So let's go over the fabrics and everything first, and then we'll go over where I got my tutorial from and how I actually started, how I cut and how I measure everything based on the tutorial that I have. So first I'm going to show you some of the other fabrics, and then I'll show you my chiffon rolls. So I have this is a cut from tutu that I made. This is actually just regular tulle, because with the pettiskirts you can use tulle as well. This actually came from a bolt, and if you don't know what a bolt is, it's basically the little cardboard yardage thing that you get, and when you go to the fabric store and everything's on like this little cardboard and it's rolled up, that is called a bolt. Now when you buy fabric on a bolt, it's pre-folded. Makes it easier when I'm doing specific tutus, and I'll insert a picture to let you know. Oh, my satin trim skirt, if you guys have seen that video, that works in my favor because I don't have to fold that fabric over. I just cut the length that I need, and then this is actually the leftover. So this is actually 2 pieces. Quality, I get my tulle from giftsinternational.com. A lot of people don't like it. I love it, especially for the prices. Yeah, and for me they ship pretty fast. Some people say they don't ship fast enough, but for me, I think they ship pretty fast. This is the satin I use. This is charmeuse. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Satin charmeuse. This is pink. I got pink because I figured it would look better in the video. This is just a scrap piece. This is what I use. This satin charmeuse is what I use for the waistband and a lot of the pettiskirts that I make. This I buy from fabric.com, again for the price, and again for how they ship and where they ship. and they always have like deals and stuff like that. But I get this satin charmeuse from fabric.com. When I'm in a pinch and I've run out and I need to make something right away, I just go to Joann Fabrics because that's what's closest to me. I don't know if we have a Hobby Lobby here in Michigan. I'm sure we do, but I don't know where. So the satin is what you use for the waistband for your petty skirt, or this Rochelle, I think it's pronounced, nylon fabric. It has a two-way stretch. Let's see. This is a four-way stretch, and I'll show you what I mean. A two-way stretch is just this, and it wouldn't stretch this way. But see how this stretches at both angles? They consider that a four-way stretch. This particular fabric does not fray. The satin frays. So if you choose to use this instead of the satin for your waistband, for your petty skirt, it's a good option because you don't have to secure the edges like you do with the satin. And when I use this instead of the satin, a lot of times I don't use the interfacing, but if you want to have it just be a little bit more stiff and make it easier for you to attach the chiffon, then you could go ahead and follow that same process. It's all in that video of putting it together, my petty skirt video, and I'm definitely gonna remember to insert those videos so you can see what I'm talking about. Both the satin trim skirt video, even it's really long. People hate it because it's really long. They say I talk too much, but I'm explaining something, so I don't know how else to do it without talking. So that's just me. If you know, some people like to watch videos where there's no talking and it's just showing. I'm a visual and a vocal person when it comes to explaining things, so that's how I do it. So yeah, this is chiffon by the yard. I love chiffon. It's so soft and pretty and beautiful. This chiffon is nylon chiffon denier. I believe that's how you pronounce it, denier. This particular chiffon does not fray. Makes your life so much easier. I love this for what it is. When it comes to making petty skirts, this is actually how I started. Oh, and that Rochelle fabric, I got it from fabricsusa.com. Like I said, I'll leave all the links below. That particular place is in New York. Fabric.com, I believe, is in Georgia, and Gifts International is in California, I believe. Can't remember, but I think that's it. This nylon chiffon and my chiffon rolls that I'm about to show you came from afc-express.com. Love that place. Ever since I found that place, that is the only place I get my chiffon from. I will not buy it retail because it's not the quality that I like, and I haven't found anywhere besides there that sells these. So we'll get into that. But this, when you're making a petty skirt, it's kind of hard doing it by the yard because you have to cut and you have to try to make sure that it's even when you're cutting, and 9 times out of 10 it's not always. And it's just faster to use the rolls, but I still do use this to make skirts. And I did make a cute little dress when Autumn was like 5 that she absolutely lived in out of this particular chiffon. So that's that. Now, this is the part that I really wanted to have for Ruthie. These are my chiffon rolls. And I'll explain the sizes. Okay, this is a 4-inch roll. This roll is, I want to say, the 60-yard roll. It could be the 90-yard roll. It's been so long since I bought these, I can't remember. Sorry, I'm so sorry. But they come in 30, 60, and 90-yard rolls, which is great. Again, this is the 4-inch. This is the 3-inch. This is the 2-inch. Now, when I make for smaller girls, younger girls, let's say 2 to maybe 5 or 6, depending on how small and how short they are, I will use the 3-inch rolls. For the older girls, the petty skirts look better when you use the 4-inch rolls because you can see the difference. Sometimes I'll use the 3 and the 4-inch rolls. I'll use this as the top and I'll use this as the bottom one. This 2-inch roll is what I use to make the ruffles. Now, when you're working with these, it's so much easier to set it in a basket, a bowl, a bucket, and just let it roll through the sewing machine. You don't even have to, most of the time, cut it off. Now, what I do when I use these, if I know I'm not going to use them for anything else but petty skirts, I'll just make the whole roll. And then work off of that. Again, like I said, I'm kind of a visual person, so over the years I kind of adapted going off by look and not so much by measurements, if that makes sense. And as you get into it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Again, I made the petty skirt video, so this is not a tutorial video. This is an explanation video for those of you who are looking for a tutorial. I'm not doing that, and I'm not cutting anything today unless you need me to cut, but I will explain about the cutting. Now, for when you're making these things for different ages, the most important part as far as measurement is the satin or the Rochelle fabric that you're using for the waistband, and the size of the elastic that you're going to use to weave through the waistband. When it comes to measuring for any child for a petty skirt, the waistband, which will be, sorry guys, which will be either with the satin or the Rochelle. Again, reference the video so you know what I'm talking about when I say waistband. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you want to double the size of the child's waist. I always add either 1 to 2 more inches to that. That's just me, for seam allowance, and also just for to have that extra yardage. With petty skirts, what I found when I started making them is I tend to buy the non-roll knit elastic for petty skirts because it's just easier, and it allows the waistband to not have that elastic when you get it out of the washing machine or whatever. You find yourself trying to fold that elastic back out. Yeah, but for this particular project, the long piece of the waistband is going to be double whatever the size of your child's or grandchild or whatever, whoever you're making it for, customer, whatever their waistband is, you're going to make it double that size. So let's say you're making for like a 2-year-old. My 2-year-old had a little bit of a belly when she was 2. She's 11 now, but she was like, I think I used to make hers, but I always made hers to size to where she could fit it as the years went on. I think she wore her petty skirts sometimes from birth up until like 8 or 9. Just because when I cut the elastic the way I cut it, it allowed for it to stretch out further than what it needed to be. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope I'm not confusing you guys right now. So let's talk about waistband. Right now we're sticking to waistband. So let's just say for sake your 2-year-old had a 18-inch waist. Double that, it's going to be a 36-inch waist. And then if you add 1 inch or 2 inches to that, so we're talking 37, 38 inches that you would measure out this waistband. Now the length of the waistband in the particular tutorial I have, it says to measure the length of the waistband 6 inches. If you don't like that thick look of the waistband, and I'll, Nika, try to remember to insert a picture here of what you're talking about. If you don't like that long, because when you fold, you're gonna fold it, which is why the tutorial I have says 6 inches in length, because you fold it, it's going to be 3 inches. Now for me, I didn't particularly like so much waistband, so I just made it either 4 or 5 inches. So when I folded it, it was either 2 or 2.5 inches instead of that 3. So if that makes sense to you, but that's up to you. For this particular video, I'll say double the size of the waistband and then use 6 inches to measure for the length. So we're talking, example, 37 inches long, or wide. Let's say wide, because this will be wide. 36 inches wide, 6 inches long. So 36, 6, if that makes sense, with the satin charmeuse or the Rochelle. So that's for the waistband. So if you're making for a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever the size, a lot of times you'll find with children that they're kind of similar in that age. So what I like to do for that particular age group, I'll cut the elastic the size of the smaller child and make sure that it stretches out to the size of the older child. Makes it easier on you, and it makes the pettiskirts last longer. That's just how I do it. But if you just want to do it specifically for each age group, then you would just pretty much double the size of the waist and then, you know, follow along with the video. So that's how you measure for different sizes for different ages of children. So I hope that helps, Ruthie. Also, let's start getting into these. Okay, so years ago, Martha Stewart had on her website Kaya Eve. She was the lady that brought back the pettiskirt, as far as I know, for the history. She was kind enough to do the video. She gave the measurements and how she made them, and also when I emailed her, she actually responded, which is highly unlikely for a lot of designers. She actually responded to me and told me what type of chiffon to buy, and I'm forever grateful for her doing that, because she saved me. She saved my frustration. She saved me so much by just telling me what type of chiffon to use. She will never know how much that helped me. So this is not mine. This is her tutorial, and that's what I used to do that pettiskirt video, but I altered mine. So this is her specific tutorial, and in that video I altered it to work for me. I like them to be really full and really pretty, so I tend to have my settings a little bit tighter for my ruffles when I make them. But now I have a ruffler foot, and I will show you that in the end. But this is what she says. So I'm going to tell you these measurements, and then I'm going to tell you what I do. So it says to have satin charmeuse, one 7.5 by 48 inch rectangle. Again, I just explained what I do for that. Also, it says for the interfacing to cut the two pieces 48 inches long. That's her measurements here. It says for the nylon chiffon, and this is basically going off of cutting it from the yard. This is that tutorial. So I'm going to go over that, and then I'm going to tell you how I make it work with these chiffon rolls. So it says for the nylon chiffon, cut 6 3.5 by 46 inch strips, 12 4.5 by 54 inch strips, enough length for 2 1.5 inch strips to make 48 yards. That's what hers says. Now, the way I altered that and made it work for me, these things right here. So for the ruffles, which would be the last thing that I said, and that was the 1/2 inch wide strips to make 48 yards, this saved me from that. This is what I use again to make those ruffles to go on the bottom of the skirt. And this is 2 inch. This is I think this is the 60-yard roll. I think I got the 60-yard roll because in her video, in her explanation, it says to make 48 yards. If you buy the 60-yard roll, you got more than your 48 yards right here. So when I do this, because these 2 inch strips I only use for making pettiskirts, I make the whole roll and just save whatever's left after I'm done making the pettiskirt. Again, so for the 6 3.5 inch by 46 inch strips, if you're making for a smaller child, like I said, like a baby or a 2-year-old, these 3 inch strips will work for that. I would suggest at that point buying the 90-yard roll. because what I do is if I cut and measure this out, I just add together these 6 1.5 by 46 inch strips. I measure out the 6 to get what I need. So I'll cut 6 46 inch strips, but like I said, I'll just measure it out or make the whole roll. And this is for that top layer or the bottom layer if you're making for a smaller child. If I'm making for my child now, she's 11, I would use the 3 inch and the 4 inch just to add that length. And I would adjust the waistband because she's not so kiddish anymore. I would make her waistband less. So instead of like a 3.5 or 3 inch long waistband, I would make it like 2 to 2.5 inches for her waistband, and she would like it like that. So the 4 inch, same process. Whatever it says here, it says cut 12 for the second row. I would just make this whole row and then just go from there. If you're short on time, then cut it out. Use your yardstick if you have one, or just measure the 12 by 46 inch strips. So you're measuring 12 46, but keep it long. Don't cut it, because if you cut the 12, you have to sew those 12 together. So with the roll, you just 46 12 times and then make it, if that makes sense. Same thing with this. It says 6 46 times, measure it, cut it, then make it. So it's one long strip, and it makes it easier and faster for you to do these. Honestly, when you buy these rolls, you'll see how much easier your life is instead of having to use this, because I spent so much time measuring, cutting, trying to get them even, trying to get them right, and it just takes so much more time. When you have this in your spare time, if you know you have a project coming up, or if you know you're going to make something, you could just make all of this, ruffle it all, and then put it together when you're ready to make it. Okay, so I don't remember where I left off because I had to turn everything off because a visitor came in. So yeah, basically life is a lot easier with these chiffon rolls. If you're a person that just loves to cut from the yard, then I get this and my yardage from AFC Express. The prices are pretty good. Y'all know me. If you know me, you know I'm cheap. So the prices are really good for me. Again, these rolls, they have so many colors. This is just a color I chose to show you because I have a lot of lighter colors and I didn't know how it's going to show up on the camera. I didn't want to glare. So again, this is the 2 inch roll that I use for the ruffles. This is the 3 inch roll, and this is the 4 inch roll. They come in 30, 60, and 90 yard spools. So I have several colors. They have other things as well on that site, AFC Express. They sell organza. They have a few other items that they sell on that site. But for me, when I find suppliers that work for me, especially with like shipping, quality, and variety, I use what works. I'm so eternally grateful for the owner of Kaya Eve to have told me about this, because she just really seriously doesn't realize how much she saved my life, and I hope my sewing life. Sorry. Chemo is saving my life right now, but anyway. Those are that's the way that I make my pettiskirt. So if you need me to tell you the measurements again, I can leave them in the description along with the links to the websites that I mentioned. Just make sure you, if I don't remember, remind me. And I will try to actually do the measurements for you based on the rolls, so you're not counting out yourself. So I'll write myself a note to make sure to count, so you know how long of a strip to cut out. So I use my yardstick when I'm measuring. I use a long table, or I do it on the floor, and I just do, You know how you go to the retail store and how they cut the fabric for you by measuring 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, like that. That's what I do. I just measure it out 46 inches 6 times, and that's what I get. So 6 times 46, 12 times 46, that's what you get. You measure out that much, or you just go ahead, make the whole rolls that you purchase. Like I said, for me, when I do it, I normally buy the 60 or the 90 yard rolls. Most of the time I buy the 60 yard rolls, but to save time and money, it's easier just to buy the 90 yard rolls, so you just have it on hand. Now, one thing that I do, you know those boxes, you know, any kind of box, your leftover, I just wrap my chiffon that's pre-made on those, so when I need to use it again, it's already right there. So that's how I do things. I hope this video explains, Ruthie, what you were looking for me to explain to you that I didn't explain in my pettiskirt video. But if you need to know how to make the actual pettiskirt, that information is already out there on my channel, and I will link that below. This is just a overview of the fabric I use and the measurements I use to make the pettiskirts. So for different sizes, basically the waistband and how much elastic you cut for that waistband is going to determine or will help you factor how to do each size for each child, the different sizes for each child. So if you have a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, you know, older kid, baby, the waist. When I do for babies though, I do for babies a 10-inch waist. So I double that, and I use so that would be 20. And I say that because with babies, it's harder because it's not going to be sitting very low on the baby. So it won't be sitting on the baby's stomach. It'll probably be sitting a little higher up. So if you do that, just measure around the circumference of the baby, not so much around the belly area. Because 9 times out of 10, even if you put it on the belly with the baby, it rises up anyway because babies move so much. But yeah, for walking children, just measure the waist and double that waist, the actual waistband. And then for the elastic, it says here to cut 17 inches. For smaller children, you can decrease that, or you can leave it at the 17 inches because you're going to be attaching long pieces of ribbon for the bow. Now, if you choose not to do the bow, and again, watch the video, because sometimes I make these when I use the Rochelle fabric. I don't do the opening to basically drawstring bow. I will attach a bow, but most of the time I don't do it that way. I'll just sew it all shut, and I will use the size of the child's waist minus 2 inches, if that makes sense. But what I seriously love to do is see how far I can stretch that elastic out. 9 times out of 10 with a non-roll elastic, it doesn't give you a lot of leeway. It's very firm for specific reasons, so you don't get a lot of pull away. So for that, I may use the exact size of the child's waist, but 9 times out of 10 I always subtract, because elastic stretches, so I always take away 1 to 2 inches from the actual elastic that I cut. So again, if you have any other questions about how to put it together, watch the pettiskirt tutorial video. Also, if you're curious about the tulle, and I mentioned the satin trim skirt, for those of you who are new, I do have that video. I will link that as well, just so you can see what it looks like. Those measurements are available in the front of the video, the very front of the video. Those measurements are available for those satin trim tulle skirts. So I hope this video is very helpful. If any of you have any other videos that you need for me to go into more detail and explain to you, I have no problem creating a video for that. I do have a list of things that people wanted to see. Unfortunately, those requests came in during cancer and chemo, so I still have that list. I haven't forgotten about you guys, and I'll try my best to get those done for you. The next one I think I want to do, I had a pajama pants video out there that I did, I believe last year. Someone wanted to see that with pockets. I did have an individual ask me about a mask for men with the tie straps instead of the elastic around the ear. So those are the two that I really want to focus on doing next, but I just don't know with everything going on with me how that will work. So again, thank you guys for your continued support. I hope this video was very helpful. If I forget to leave any links, please call me out on it and be like, girl, where are the links? Just let me know, okay? Leave those in the comments, and I am eternally grateful to all of you who still stick with me during this time, even though I haven't been consistent on my videos. I appreciate you so much. It's so helpful on my hard days just to get kind comments and kind words from all of you on my social media, on here on YouTube. It's really helpful. You have no idea. So I love you guys. Make sure you are subscribed. Also make sure you give me a big old thumbs up. Please check out my social media. Follow me on social media, and I'll see you next time. Bye.